Hey there, Emily from Stony Acres Farm in Cary, North Carolina, and today you're going to hear part one of our interview with our cattle farmers. Let's go. We are a small farm in a big city. We are city folk. So we were so thrilled to start working with Victoria and Mackenzie. They own Crabtree Farm Goods. They are our beef farmers that supply beef to our farm store. We don't have any cows, definitely not processing any cows, so we buy directly from them. They are incredibly phenomenal. We have learned so much from them, and I asked them if they would be willing to sit down and let me ask them some questions about being cattle farmers in the United States today, and they agreed. Our interview went about an hour, so I'm breaking it into 3 parts. This first part, you're gonna meet Victoria and Mackenzie. You're gonna hear about how our drought has impacted them. We have had very little rain in the month of June, and we've been in a heat wave, and so that's a big problem for farmers. And they're also going to talk about challenges of being a modern day cattle farmer in the United States. So we hope you enjoy part 1 of our interview with Crabtree Farm Goods. All right, we are here with Victoria and Mackenzie Clayton, the owners of Crabtree Farm Goods. We just finished our meetup where we ordered, people could order online, and then they met up MEAT, met up and picked up their orders on our farm, and it was a success. So we're sitting on all the coolers that had meat in them, and they've agreed to answer a few questions. So being from the city, I had never met do I call you a cattle farmer? What are you called?
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
A cattle farmer. And so they have taught us so much, and so we just really wanted you to meet them. So Victoria and Mackenzie. So first thing is, where are you located?
Well, first off, just wanted to say thank you to everybody who came to the meetup today, and thank you to Stony Acres for hosting us. Mm-hmm. So we're located in Cedar Grove. That's about 15 minutes north of Hillsboro.
Okay, so about an hour and 15 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And how long has Crabtree Farm Goods been a business?
So the family farm started in the 1920s with my great-grandfather, and he farmed my granddaddy, grandparents, my parents, and now I farm. In 2017 is when I felt led to pursue selling beef direct to the customer. So started in 2017, and here we are, 2024, and we're still going.
And she's like a female farmer, which I think is so neat. Like, you drive the tractor.
Yeah.
And you do all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
And to clarify too, I didn't get involved till I met her in 2019.
So
we got married in 2021.
You hitched a ride into this farming world.
Yeah, I married into it.
Did you grow up farming?
I didn't grow up farming, but I did grow up as an outdoorsman and an avid hunter.
Okay.
So we had pets. We had a few goats and dogs and stuff. So I never had any experience with cattle. So the past few years, meeting Victoria and her cows and her love for cattle has been my biggest introduction, and I've learned a lot from her as well.
You learned fast. It's like crash course.
Yeah.
The cattle. Okay, so I'm going to say this wrong, but how many cows do you have? Do you say it like how many head of cattle? How do I say it?
Yeah, I would say head of cattle.
How many head of cattle do you have?
We have about 110. So
is that boys and girls?
It is. So that's the bulls, the mama cows, that's the calves.
Because what's a girl cow called?
Before she has a calf, it's going to be called a heifer, and then after she has a calf, she's just called a cow.
Okay, and then the bull and a steer?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's with castration, right?
Yes, so a steer is a neutered male cow.
Oh my gosh, I could never remember this.
And a fun fact, an ox is a steer that has grown up to not be processed for working.
So oxen?
Oxen is just a grown-up steer.
Oh, I didn't know that. I forgot about the word ox. I knew there was a steer and a bull. Okay, so how many acres do you have for that?
We own property, and we also rent property. Combined, it's about 350 acres.
That's a lot of acres.
Yeah.
So one of my questions I had is that we are in a drought right now in North Carolina. So what does this mean? What does this lack of rain and this heat mean for you guys? What have you been doing this past month?
Yeah, so the number one goal is always to provide for the animals on the farm. So we have to make sure that they have a clean water source. We've actually got some calves at one farm that we're not able to water with a pond there, so we have to haul water. So we have a 1,000 gallon transfer tank that we have to fill up with well water, and then we have to haul over with the tractor. Twice a day we have to take water tubs and fill them up over there out of the big transfer tank.
Every day.
Yes, ma'am. So as I said, caring for the animals is number one. So you also think about their next need, which is food.
Yeah.
So right now the pastures are really struggling. I was able to get a really good first grazing from May even into June, and I had to take the cows off. You have to allow the land to rest, allow the grass to grow back so you can graze them again. And so after I've done that, we just really haven't gotten enough rain, so I'm not able to replenish. So unfortunately I'm having to put hay out right now because the pastures just cannot sustain. And then you also look at the hay crops. So the hay crops are also suffering because we're not getting enough water. Even the land that we fertilized versus have not fertilized, we're still not getting great yields.
So usually you don't put hay out till winter, right?
Ideally.
Okay, so this is cutting into your hay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was listening to the North Carolina Department of Agriculture podcast this morning, and they were talking about this drought. And the thing that, like, before I owned a farm, I just worried about, like, watering my landscaping plants. But now owning a farm, this drought is going to affect pocketbooks, grocery stores, your meat, your vegetables. So, I mean, this drought has a bigger impact. So we're hoping for some rain tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I'm even thinking back a few years ago, I think it was 2001 or so. There was a really bad drought out west, and actually a lot of farmers out west were having to take their brood cows, which are the ones that raise the baby calves. I mean, they're stock that you want to try to keep for ideally 12 years or so. They were actually taking some of their best quality, having to sell them because they didn't have enough food and resources to feed them. So that is something that you're kind of scared of something like that happening, even in North Carolina.
And hopefully we get some rain, because this has been, I mean, it's been weeks since we've had rain, and it's 90 plus degrees every single day.
And as far as the heat goes, we also have a mineral we just started using from VitaFerm a few years ago that is supposed to help the cattle better perform in the heat, to heat stress less. It has components in it to help them do that, which also helps with breeding, because we do something a little different. We try to spring calf in this area, which some people don't do because of fescue, and she knows more about that than I do, because the fescue in the summer can be toxic to the younger calves, and the cattle don't want to get bred back as quick in the summer. They can have trouble because they are so hot. So that those minerals help with that, and the minerals also help with fly control. So that's one thing we've did the past couple of years to kind of help the cows weather the heat better, and we've seen pretty good results with it. I mean,
that's more money, right? Like everything
it is
takes
a lot more expensive,
money, which then affects people's bottom line.
Yeah.
And if you don't do this, then you don't get enough or the quality that you want. So it's a double-edged sword. And that's what I've learned from you guys, is like just all these little things behind the scenes that you're like, I never knew that. I didn't ever think about that. And then you explain it and I go, oh, okay. So that was one of your challenges. One of my questions is, what are your biggest challenges? What other challenges do you have being cattle farmer today in America?
I think that it's really something that a lot of Americans can relate to. Is we're dealing with a lot of price increases, a lot of inflation. I guess we're very fortunate and blessed that right now the live cattle market is the highest that it's been. As far as I know, it's the highest it's been in history. There may be a couple of exceptions here and there, but I think if you were to go back and see what the live cattle prices were, let's just say 30 years ago versus today, and you look at inflation and how much gas costs then versus today, you know, even with the cattle prices being as high as they are right now, I don't think that the cattle prices have increased at the same rate that the other inflations have. So that's something that you're constantly having to deal with. Another thing that I think sometimes I even overlook is a lack of property. It's really hard to gain property as a farmer. You pretty much have to own property, which you're looking at a huge expense, or either you're blessed enough that somebody has left it to you, or you're going to have to start renting property. And a lot of people are closed-minded to renting, or they have really small parcels. You might have a large farm that gets divided into really small parcels, and it's, you know, it's not worth it for most of us to go down the road and have to tend a 3-acre farm. You know, we need something that's bigger that we can put enough animals on, or we can raise enough hay on.
And people are selling farms like crazy.
Yes.
Because the cost to do this is so high.
And development is so rapid.
Have you seen development up by you yet?
Not yet.
Hillsboro developed like crazy.
Not yet. No big developments. Most of it's focused to the counties directly connected to, like Wake County and the surrounding counties. So we're just one out, so we hadn't really saw a lot of development yet.
Yet. It's coming. Because there's no place left to live in Raleigh. So we're just spreading out.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed this part of the interview with Mackenzie and Victoria from Crabtree Farm Goods. If you want to get a hold of them, you can visit their website at crabtreefarmgoods.com. They're also on Instagram and Facebook. If you don't live in the Raleigh area and you want to find a local farmer to support, you can find them at MeatSuite, MEATSUITE.com and localharvest.org. You can also follow us at Stony Acres NC on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks for watching.